So, Mary, welcome to ESGI Live.
Woo, thank you, Chris.
Mary's an ESGI All-Star. We're so excited to have you here.
Thank you.
Now, you're going to be talking about the importance of teaching sight words to our young learners. So,
Right.
give me your best sight word. Something happened. I don't know.
It's Vegas.
It's Vegas.
Anything could happen.
Anything could happen. You're right. So, tell me your best tip for teaching sight words to young learners.
Sure. Sight words are so important, and we already know that, but here's my biggest tip. You have to make it fun for your kids. If you make it so much fun that they can't help but to learn, they're not just going to learn the minimum, because that's not okay. They're going to learn to their fullest potential, and that's what we really want. So one of my passions is really making sight words fun and hands-on and relevant for my students so they just soar.
Now, talk a little bit about why sight words are so important.
Okay, so a long, long time ago.
First of all, I love how passionate you are about sight words. I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
I am. I'm so passionate about
I
sight
feel like
words.
I should have like sight word cards and like be like testing
Let's
it.
do it. Let's do it.
Okay, next time.
So when long, long time ago, before I had gray hair and wrinkles, and my first year teaching kindergarten, I was like, all right, well, we're just going to do letters and sounds. And, you know, I didn't know what I didn't know. And then I figured out, oh, like, you can't sound out like sight words.
No, that's not a thing. That's why there's sight words, Mary.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying, like, it really hits you. So the really key to teaching kids to read is to teach them phonetic skills that they need, and then to teach them sight words that they can read quickly. So the more sight words they can read quickly, the more fluent their reading can be, and they don't need to sound out all those words. So they go from saying the fun, the cat is jumping, where you like are like, to the cat is jumping, and it makes sense in their heads, and they're becoming fluent, and they're becoming interested. And then they start reading all the things.
That's the theme of Mary's interview. All the things, hashtag all the things. So you're gonna start your session in just a bit. Mary's gonna be, so if you're watching live at home, make sure you stick around. Mary's gonna give you her session live right here. We're gonna show you her slides. She's gonna give you all the tips and tricks for sight words. But before we do that, I know you're a huge Elvis Presley fan, is that true?
So, yes, we play an Elvis game in my classroom, a sight word game too. And we have our
like
Elvis
a super
bag,
fan.
and we shake it, and we dance to You're All Shook Up. And I tell my kids he's my boyfriend. And then this is.
How does your husband feel about that?
Well, he doesn't really care because Elvis is dead. But my kids don't know Elvis is dead. So usually about November, December, they're like, Miss Amoson, do you know that Elvis is not alive? And I was like, no, he's my boyfriend. So it's this big funny game.
That's hilarious. Now, at your wedding, is it true you had someone sing Elvis songs, maybe?
Our song we danced to
your wedding song
I Can't Help Falling in Love with You.
So Elvis all the time. And you almost named your
oldest daughter, I
Presley.
wanted to name her Presley. And then we had a second daughter, and I also wanted to name her Presley.
So Presley and Presley.
No, I just wanted the name Presley. I got vetoed the first time, so I thought I'd give it the good old try.
And what happened? No, didn't work out. So we're in Vegas, the city of Elvis, right? And since you're here,
Woo.
I'm gonna play a little game of finish the lyrics with some Elvis songs. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm not gonna do well, but bring it on,
But before we
baby.
start, okay, can you give us your best Elvis impression before we start?
Oh my gosh.
Any song, anything you want, really.
Just young Elvis.
Yeah, anything.
He is the hottest man that has
Just
ever
give me.
walked
Okay,
the face
this is
of
a
the
family
earth.
show.
And so whenever we
Mary.
do Elvis in my classroom, the girls go, oh.
But
That's
a little
my
like
interpretation.
any song lyrics. You got anything or?
No, I don't.
Okay, come on, go on. Okay.
Sorry.
First one. Now I'm not gonna sing it. I'm just gonna say it. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And if you're in the live audience, you can play along too. You might win. So Holly's looking for some helpers there. Okay, here we go.
Help me.
Well, you ain't never caught a rabbit.
And you ain't no friend of mine.
Correct. I thought you said you were not gonna be good.
I apparently
Okay,
just
here
was
we go.
thinking the minimum.
Okay, here we go. A little more bite and a little less bark.
A little more conversation, a little more action, if you please.
Yes, a little less fight, a little more spark, and then yeah, you got it. Okay, you got the
I'm
right song.
taking it. That's
I'll
a
take
win.
it. That's 1.5. I'll give you the half point. Okay. Oh, this one. Even I know this one. Love me tender, love me sweet, never let me go.
Oh my gosh. For I love you and I always will.
No. Love me tender, love
gotta
me
sing
sweet,
it.
never let me go. You have made my
Life complete.
and
I love you, Seth.
yes, there you go. Okay, you go. You got some help from our friends in the audience. That's okay.
I mean, no one said I could sing, right?
Okay, this is a good one. The warden threw a party in the county jail.
I mean, I know the song. I don't know what comes next.
The warden threw a party in the county jail.
I know he does. I don't know.
The audience knows. Yeah, the prison band was there and they began to wail. Okay, last one. Oh, well, bless my soul, what's wrong with me?
I'm itching like a man on the fuzzy tree.
Yes, you got it. Good job, good job.
That's
Mary
what we're all
Amonson.
shook up.
Yes, you got it, you got it. So I'm gonna let you go get set up for your presentation over there. Thank you so much for hanging out, Mary.
Awesome, it's always a joy.
We can do a hug there. There we go. All right, Mary Amonson, everyone. She's getting ready to start her session.
Hey guys, this is Mary Amoson and I blog at Sharing Kindergarten and I'm here to talk to you guys about sight words. I'm not just a little bit passionate about sight words, I'm really passionate about sight words. It's one of my favorite things to teach. So I'm so blessed to be here to give you a little sneak peek of some of the things that I like to do with sight words. I could talk about this for hours, but you don't want to listen to me for hours. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some sight words. If you are at the SDE National Conference, I am presenting an entire session dedicated to sight words on Wednesday. So you're definitely going to want to see it. If you're at home and you like some of the things you're hearing, I have a whole kindergarten boot camp that I'm going to absolutely give you for free. There is no obligation to anything. You just go to my blog, you see Freebie Boot Camp, and it's going to start, because we're doing a take 2 on August the 1st, and I'm going to send you one email every day in August. I'm going to cover all these topics. The reason we're calling it Take 2 is because we're doing Take 1 now, so we're just going to repeat it for everybody else. So if that's something that's interesting to you and you really... All right, so one of the games I love to play, guys, is a game called Kabam, and this does not take a lot of effort to set up. So I buy these little foam rubber pieces. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Don't get the ones that are like loud because you would lose your mind, so don't. And these are just the little foam pieces and I write on them. If you can't see what it says all in, boys in, girls in. These are little arrows. Well, that's not technically correct. They're called rays if you're in math. And these are little stars, okay? So those just go on the pieces. And what I do is I level my games because I want all my students to have their own success. So I just took the pack of the pieces and I divided them up by color. And I did lightest to darkest because that just makes sense. So I put the sight words that I needed on these. And here's another tip. Y'all don't do this. You have something called a parent volunteer. And this is a parent volunteer that you don't want to actually show up in your classroom. You know, like the one that doesn't do good showing up in your room. So you give them a baggie of one color and the Sharpie and the list of sight words, and they write one word on every piece. Are y'all with me? And then they don't come in your room. I know, you're welcome. Okay, so then you put them in the bin. So what happens is that you find out the list that your kids need to work on and you give them that bucket. My kids put the bucket between them and they get in like a little circle. They reach in and no sneaky peeking. So they reach in like this, they pull one piece out. If you pull more than one piece in, you lose your turn. You pull one piece out. If you know that sight word, you get to keep it. Are y'all with me? Does that make sense? But nobody wants to play games in your classroom if the smartest kid wins every time, right? Because I was not the smartest kid. I'm still not the smartest kid. So that's like a no. You can't have that. So what you have is these pieces right here that I talked about. Those are your variables. Those are what make sure the smartest kid doesn't win. So if you pick out the star, you have to put all your pieces back in. Are y'all with me? Guess what? This game never ends. There's never a winner. There's never a loser. Isn't that the best thing? It's the perfect time filler ever, okay? So then the other piece is boys in. So if a boy picks his piece up, he's like, oh man, now all the boys that play that game have to put all their pieces in, or girls in, or all in, however you want to do it. The arrows mean if you're going around this way, then you go around this way. Are y'all with me? So what I do is on my yellow game, I might do boys in, girls in, all in, and then the star. And then on my red game, I add another variable to the game. And then on the blue game, I add another variable so that they get something when they go to the next level. Now, if you can see this over here, it's super fancy. It's called construction paper. So I took out the same sheets of construction paper that matched this game, and that's how my kids know which game to play. So if their name is on red, they play with the red pieces. If their name is on blue, they play the blue. When their name is on green, they play the green. And then listen, when they get to the next level, I take a marker and I cross them off and I just write it on the next one. It's so hard. It's so hard. You guys can totally do it. So here's the beauty about this game. Guess how many times I've made this in all my years teaching? One time. Okay, well that's a lie. They redid all of my sight words 2 years ago, so now I've made it 2 times all my years teaching, 2. They can keep playing this forever and it fills your time. Does that sound like a winner? This is something you guys can easily make and you'll love it forever. But if you make these with those actual plastic pieces, you will hate me and you will send me a mean email and say it's the worst game ever. So don't do that. Just make it with the foam. All right, does that sound good? All right. My next activity that I love is a little techie. So if you know me, you know I love technology. This is called an Osmo, and it goes on your iPad. Y'all know about Osmos? If you don't know about Osmos, go read my blog. I got stuff on there. So you put the iPad on the stand, and it has this red piece, and that red piece is called a reflector. And what it does is it transforms the camera on your iPad and it pushes it down to the surface of the table. So now the table is the playing area in front of you. Does that make sense? So now I put sight words on here and my kids take the little letter tiles and they build those sight words. Isn't that awesome? It is so fun. So there's different levels to play. Do you see how there's red and blue on this iPad? That game is when 2 kids can play versus each other. This game is called Zen, and it just means they play it by themselves. Cool, right? So it's a lot of fun, and I love it. But here's the great thing. Osmo lets you guys grab my activities for free. So you can go on there and you can search like Fry 1, and you can grab the games I've already made, and you can import them into your Osmo for absolutely free. Isn't that awesome? You can customize, and there's directions on my blog, so you can make your word list. I would say it take you 20 minutes to make your whole word list, and you can import it on here. So now I can have all the kids in my classroom working on their specific sight words they need on their own. Isn't that fun? The one drawback to this, which is true for most sight word activities, is it doesn't say it. And I know, so if we all email Osmo, maybe they'll change that feature. I don't know. But it doesn't say it. But I teach my kids from day one, say it, spell it, say it. Say it, spell it, say it. So my kids naturally start saying it and spelling it. So this is a lot of fun. I love this. I customize all of our word lists, and it gets all my kids on their level, and they have so much fun. So my principal will come in and she'll observe, and she'll say, oh, y'all are doing a sight word activity. I'm like, no. We are doing a differentiated, leveled sight word activity, and everybody is working on their own words. She's like, oh my gosh, that must have taken you hours. And then I go, yes. Yes, it did. No, it didn't. It just looks like it. All right, so here's another thing that I really love to do. These are QR codes, and when you scan the QR code, it lets you hear that sight word with a supporting sentence. And I use these for everything in my classroom. So you can see the pocket chart right here. What you can't see is behind that pocket chart, I have letter beads. So my kids scan the sight word, and then they take the little green pipe cleaner, if you can see it, and they string the letters on to make that sight word. For you and me, that seems like it would take, what, a minute? For them to hold the pipe cleaner and work those OT skills and put them on in the right order does not take them a minute. It takes them a little bit longer. So this is a really good game. Now when they're done, you can twist it around their wrist and make a sight word bracelet. So I love that. And they can wear it for the rest of the day. If they want to take it home, they have to work for it. So I give them a job and they can earn that sight word. It's a lot of fun. And then when they have that bracelet on, I know that I need to ask them that specific sight word all day. Does that make sense too? Now, that would be great, but I need to know which words to put on here. That's the goal. So what I do is, and I'm not saying this just because I'm on this booth, I'm saying this because I literally use this in my classroom. I go pull up my ESGI data. This is my chart from this past year, and I sit there and I go to, it'll give you different options. I click one of the options and it tells me the sight words that my kids knew the least. and I start with that one. So if you look at my list right here, it says that I need to do a better job at where, at how, at those words. So I pull the ones that are most commonly missed in my classroom, and those are the ones I put up there. Does that make sense too? So now I'm going to reach the majority of my kids. If only one kid is missing maybe at, I don't want to spend the time putting that word on there. I'll differentiate another way. But that's just a really good way to do it. If I do this right, I do this maybe twice a year. Now here's the other hint. You've got a learner in your room that's not ready for this, right? They're the setter-uppers. So you put that sight word card in there and you give them your letter beads and they get to sit with the letter bead box and they get to do W, H, A, T, and they prep it for you. Then when you're ready to change it out, guess what they do? They clean it up because I need them working on letters and sounds more than I do sight words. So you got to think smarter and not work harder. All right, here's another thing I do in my classroom. I have specific sight words that we cover all the time. So I put all of these games into a binder that we do. My school covers at least 6 to 8 sight words a week, and I'm gonna say it, we're required 200 minimum words a year. The majority of my kids knew over 400 by the end of kindergarten. And that seems like a lot, but if you're gonna get your kids to level D, guess what they have to know? Sight words. So we teach all the Dolch words and then we move them on to Fry. So the majority of the kids in my class were on Fry 3 to 400. So this is what we do. I put all of these in this little binder right here, and then this is in the hallway of my school, which you know the lighting is fantastic. I have a little student desk out there. You can see my little legs, and I have all my materials in that student desk. And I pull my kids out for RTI, and I go to that same notebook of the same sight word activities, and I flip to the words they're missing, and we do RTI intervention with those words. It's quick, they get 5 minutes a day, and then they're out. And I'm working specifically on the sight words. If that doesn't make sense right now, I'll talk more about it in my session. And at home, if that doesn't make much sense, email me, and I will explain it to you, okay? The things that I like to put in those binders are my sight word stations, and these are just my godsend. I love these. These are hands-on interactive games my kids like to play. So if you can see these at home, you're seeing memory, you're seeing building the words, you're seeing watercolors, you're seeing a little dice game. I put all these types of game in those color-coded baskets, and my kids work on sight words for 10 minutes every day. Because I got to get them to 200, right? So 10 minutes every day, we work specifically on those set sight words from the week. These are the exact same activities that go in that binder. Does that make sense? And this is my ESGI data. So one of the things I want to show you is this ESGI is my initial screening of my kids. So this is what their results were in the very beginning of the school year. So then I take this and I can do it again for them. But these are my results later on. You can see my kids' growth with sight words and where they ended up. So they do really, really well. Now, one of the other features I really like is when I test kids on my sight words and I assess them, I use the ESGI really quick, but then I can print out sight word cards, and then I cut those out and send them home to my parents, and then I cut out another set and they leave them in their little cubbies at school. And it's just a really big time saver. We hit those sight words really, really hard because they're so important. All right, so what I thought I would do is I'm gonna pull up ESGI real quick and show you how I use this myself. Okay, so this is my actual ESGI account from this past school year, and what I did for my children is I just used their initials. Are y'all with me? So let me show you really quick. I'm going to turn this right here, how I do this. So here are some really big hints I have. I have an initial assessment that I give everybody, and I duplicate that into an SGA final. That just means student growth assessment. They just like initials and stuff. So I do the same testing in the beginning of the year and the end of the year. So this is my kids' initial assessments, and then you can see the end of the year assessments. So it's really easy to see their growth. It's really important for me to see their growth, but sometimes it's really important for those parents to see that growth too. So that's a big thing. I like to pull this out, and I do it one student at a time during conferences. And I was like, this is where they were at the beginning. And remember how worried you were? And I said, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. This is at the end. And listen, nothing starts a conference off better by saying your child is being so successful, this is how. So here is the sight words that we used. So you can see that my school breaks our sight words up into 9 weeks. So I put those in red because those are the required sight words. I want to make sure I get to those. After we finished with the red, I moved them down to fry list. And listen, I don't know if you know, but there's more than 10 fry lists. I didn't know until this year, but now I know. So we come down here and you can see where my kids ended up. So some of the things I like, remember how I told you I wanted to know which sight words my kids needed to work on? I go to this item analysis and it pulls up that graph and it tells me specifically which words my kids need to work on. That's awesome, right? So I go down here and I would click like the first 100 words, different ones down here to show me those tabs. And that's least known, most known, and so on. Okay, so the other things that are really cool is this little flashcard thingy right here. So I click this, and then I click which ones I want, and I'll say show for the whole class. Everybody thinks this takes forever, and it took me like 2 seconds. This is how I do it. I save time wherever I can. So what I love about these is that it dates it, so I know the ones that are old and that we don't need anymore, and it gives their name, so if they drop it, we can get it back to them. So I can print those out and send those home, okay? So do that. And I have a 5-year-old at my house, and I do this with her, like a lot. My other favorite thing, and I'm going to close that, is this parent letter. So we send this home every single Friday. I send home a copy of this to show the parent where their kid is with sight words. Because if they're working on the wrong sight words at home, if they work on them at home, I know, that doesn't help you. But I can say, guys, I send home this paper every single Friday to you, so you have the most updated sight words that you can use. So that helps a lot too. So I hit show for whole class, and I can alter what the little letter says, and it'll take just a second. And then all I do is hit print once, and it'll print my whole class set out. So it's really awesome. Do you see how easy that is? And then I just go hit print PDF. So because I have all these tools with me, that's another way I can make sight words success. All right? So I hope that was a little bit of some tips and tricks for you, and I think that's about it.